Hello everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where it's time for episode 5 of building Primrose Forest in Planet Coaster 2. Of course, over the past 4 episodes we've built the Vikings themed area. It's now complete. I'm really happy with how it's turned out, and it's now time to start work on the next themed area of Primrose Forest, and it is going to be based on Greek mythology. You can see me here starting off with the plaza, which is going to be right in the centre of the area, and you're going to have the backdrop of a brand new major coaster that I'm going to be starting work on literally in just a few seconds. That is a new B&M Inverted roller coaster. I love B&M Inverts. I think they're fantastic rides. They're also very high capacity, and I thought there was so much I could do with theming and of course the storyline to fit in with the Greek mythology themed area. So yeah, going to get stuck in building this now, and over the next few minutes you're going to see this B&M Inverted coaster starting to come to life. Now also in episode 5 I'm going to be revealing 2 different names that I've picked for the final 2 things that needed naming in the Vikings themed area. So stay tuned for that. We're going to name the top spin and also as well the large Viking restaurant that I built in episode 4. And of course, if you haven't already, check out all the episodes in the series. There's a dedicated playlist here on the channel. But here we go, B&M Inverts. Obviously it's come with this horrible colour scheme, or at least for the theme that we're working with. So I've just changed it to black and white. I may change that later on as the theming develops, but I thought let's go for a nice kind of just black and white for now. In terms of the height, I didn't want it to be too tall, that it would ruin all the sight lines from down at the front of the park. As I've mentioned, when I go to theme parks in real life, you know, sight lines are really important in my opinion, just for things like creating a more immersive themed area. And so I really wanted to make sure, especially with this park, with it being in a forest and having all this nice water features and just a beautiful setting, that we didn't kind of ruin some of the views from other areas. So I'm being really cautious with the sight lines here, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we didn't go too tall with this B&M Invert. But as you can see, we've got a nice classic drop down to the right hand side. We're going to put the classic B&M Inverted elements into this just here, but there's going to be quite a cool feature with the pathway that I'm going to be working on too. So yeah, you can see we drop down to the right hand side. Quite a nice drop, pretty steep, but not too much either. Building up enough speed to head into that loop just there. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with coaster physics and how it all works, but obviously some of you may be watching this, you're playing the game for the first time, you don't know a lot about designing coasters. Basically, the rule of thumb is you just want to make sure that the next element that comes after the one you built previously is a little bit lower than the one that was there before, for it to be able to complete the track. And the beauty with Planet Coaster 2 is that you can literally have the train testing round and make sure it's going through the elements at the right speed that you want to. So I've made sure that we've got a nice big drop going up into that first inversion, which is the loop, before continuing on into a nice cobra roll. I think that's a great element on a B&M invert. And then you can see we're now going up into a nice 0G roll as well, which is going to look fantastic from the plaza that we've built just there. And I wanted to put this kind of plaza in the centre first, just because that's going to be like my main anchor point for where this area is going to span off from. I really wanted to utilise having this big open space. There's going to be a couple of eateries around there, lots of seating, some great theming, but most importantly, just to be able to take in the views of this ride. Now, of course, block sections are really important on a roller coaster. Basically, that means you can run multiple trains on the system at one time without anything crashing. Obviously, that's really important with roller coaster design. We don't just want to be running things on one train. We're not Flamingo Land. We want things on more than one train. Yeah, so what we're doing here is putting in a block section. It is quite high up, but obviously I want to utilise the height still. You know, I don't want to bring it down towards the end of the layout anywhere near there yet. We're only just getting started. So yeah, we're going for this nice mid-course brake run. Just up there too. When it comes around to doing the theming on this, and you'll see this more in the next episode, but what I'm going to do is put like a covered staircase going up to that mid-course brake run, just in case, because obviously, as you know, with a roller coaster that's like this, it can only really break down in areas like the lift hill and brake runs and that sort of thing, but it could come to a temporary stoppage on a mid-course brake run. So I want to make sure that we do have an access point up to there. So I'm going to build like a tower going up to it. My inspiration for that is from Voltron at Europa Park, because they've got a mid-course brake run near the plaza. And so they didn't have the ugly steps just on show. They built like this nice tower. It looks a bit like a church really, but they've built with a big steeple on. So yeah, I'm going to do something similar to that in this area as well, just to kind of block in the steps to the mid-course brake run. So after that, we drop down to the right-hand side. We're going into a small loop just there as well. Again, I thought we've got a large loop. Let's go for a nice small loop. And then this was the point of the layout where I was a bit too unsure really about where I was going to send it. I didn't have to just go into a couple of helixes, then like interlocking corkscrews maybe, and then take it back down towards the brake run. But then I thought interlocking corkscrews on an invert, you know, it's going to be a bit more difficult. But then I thought, let's bring it all to the pathway. This is, you know, inspired really from my idol roller coaster designer, John Wardley, the legend himself that designed Nemesis and Dragon Con, many other fantastic roller coasters. But what John's always said, and he speaks a lot about this in his autobiography, I definitely recommend it, by the way. He talks a lot about, you know, when he designs rides, making sure that it's enjoyable for people off-ride, looking at the rides as well. And when I'm designing things in Planet Coaster, I always like to bear that in mind and think, actually, there's people who are going to visit this theme park that aren't going to like rides. Let's make things look attractive and enjoyable from off-ride as well. And that's what I'm doing here. So we kind of weave around the side of the plaza just there, and then we're going to drop down to the left-hand side and actually underneath the pathway. Now, I experimented with a few different inversions just here to see what I thought would work the best. I was looking at all sorts, thinking about do we do a dive loop or an Illman or something like that. But then I've ended up just doing not an inversion, technically. I wouldn't class it as one anyway, but it's like a big kind of cutback, where you just kind of, a big overbank, so to speak, is what I've gone for. You can see me there going through the different elements, and you've got the kind of prefabricated elements in the game, which I think are fantastic, by the way. Or you can make your own elements too, and obviously with this ride it's a mix of my own elements like the drop and the transitions, but then the actual main elements like the loops and stuff, nothing wrong with them actually built in the game. The profile of them's great, they're perfect, nice and smooth, so I thought we'd go for them. But yeah, this big kind of cutback overbank here underneath the pathway, I just think it's going to tie this area together really nicely. And obviously you'll see a POV in a few minutes of the ride, so you can get an idea on the speed. But yeah, it was carrying the speed quite nicely through the elements up to this point. Obviously here we're going to come out of the tunnel. We're going to lose a bit of speed there coming out of the tunnel, so we're not going to have anything too fancy here at the end. Just kind of like a half helix taking you around to the brake run. But yeah, doing a bit of smoothing as we go around. Obviously there's also that sort of thing you can do to make your ride smoother. I do feel like you can make a smoother roller coaster in Planet Coaster 2 than you can in the original. And you know, in terms of less effort, less work to do it. To build this coaster took me about 40 minutes in real time. Obviously I speed it up about 2.5 times for you in these updates. But yeah, so it took me about 40 minutes to actually make the layout for this, and obviously at the end I do some extra smoothing and that sort of thing, change things like the speed of the mid-course brake run if we want to slow it down, trim brakes. I mean, this ride doesn't have trims, I hate trim brakes, but if you need them, obviously you've got to put them in. This is a little tip for you, normally easier to build backwards from the station for the last bit as well with a big coaster. Put your brake run and things in, and then you can connect it up, or use the autocomplete just there to finish it off. Obviously before testing this thing, do a bit more smoothing around, make sure the banking's right. You can use all sorts. You can change the smoothing strength for the banking, for the turns. You can do it forwards and backwards. Obviously, you can just do all sorts with the game. You know, you can spend hours and hours designing a coaster if you want to. For me, I'm more about building the coaster and then getting stuck in with the theming. But I know some people are more about building the coaster and you know, not spending long on the theming. Whereas for me, I'm more of a theming guy. You know, I like kind of getting in with that and starting the immersive area. But here we go, full POV, climbing up the lift hill. I've put the stats on the screen just there as well, on the top right, so you can see the stats. Obviously you've got the excitement level, the fear, nausea, speed, and then the lateral G-forces, vertical G-forces, and all the other forces on the ride, so you can kind of see them throughout. Obviously we've got the top speed on there as well. So yeah, we're just coming off the lift hill, gonna get a nice view there looking out over the park. And there, we're not banked too much down on the first drop. I don't think it needed to be with the speed we're going. Nice and smooth into a large loop just there. Fantastic. You're going to get a great view of the area as you're zooming out of that just there up into the Cobra roll. So we got just here again another nice element from an inverted coaster. Yeah, it looks lovely and smooth. I was really happy with it. Hey, into a 0G roll. Fantastic. And then of course we're going to have an upwards section there into the mid-course brake run. Not really slowing it down much there. We want to keep the speed, keep it intense. That'll be a good part of the ride. Some good G's there. Really intense as we go up into the loop, the small loop that we've got. Slowing down a little bit there, little dive down. Nice views of the pathway. Family and friends at the side can snap photos of your friends on it who don't want to ride. Hey, and then into that overbank, or cutback as it's known. Really tight turn just there. That's going to be some good G's. And then we're slowly meandering down. and round into a very fast brake run. Whee! Obviously, I've not adjusted the speed on that yet. Imagine though if it came in that fast into the station. But yeah, I always just make sure we got the forces right and the layout right first, and then I'll adjust things like the speed and number of trains and that sort of thing. Obviously, the colour scheme for this is nowhere near finalised yet with the trains. I think the track though, I might keep it white. I think with it being based on this Greek kind of mythology area, what I've got planned theming wise for this, I think that'll fit quite nicely. I might change the black supports. I might go for more of a blue or turquoise maybe, but we'll see how it looks. Of course, in the game you can do like a cinematic shot of things that you've built, so I thought that I'd just show you that here as well. Here we go, a few cinematic shots coming off the lift hill. And whilst you're enjoying these just here, I just want to talk about what's coming up on the channel. We're heading out to Europa Park in Germany. In fact, as you're watching this episode and the next one, they have been pre-recorded. Right now I'm over in Germany. We're having a great time, so I'm looking forward to sharing them vlogs for you all. They're going to be coming up here on the channel. As always, Europa Park, one of my favourite parks in the world. We always have a lovely time there. So we're doing Christmas at Europa Park. Of course, Voltron's open, the new coaster for this year. Rode it earlier in the year, but I'm excited to get back on it and see how that's riding now. And along with that too, just enjoy the Christmas ambience of the park. So I'll have vlogs on the way this weekend on the channel from Europa Park. Then next week, we're down to Disneyland Paris. So we're going to be getting the train from down by Europa down to Paris. And we've got a couple of days there, which is going to be really nice. A couple of different vlogs coming up. We're going to be staying at Sequoia Lodge on site, not stayed there for a long time. And also, not done Christmas at Disneyland Paris for quite a while. So yeah, them vlogs are all coming up over the next week or so. Yeah, lots to come up. We've got travel vlogs and things as well. Like I said, we're getting this train from Germany down to Paris, which will be really cool. And yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah, like I say, this episode is a little bit shorter, and obviously I've recorded the next one as well, just for whilst I'm away. So in terms of name suggestions for this, obviously you know it's going to be Greek themed. You know, kind of hold off for your names for now. Get your ideas coming in, but wait until the next episode, and that's when I'll be asking for your names on this one. You get a week off basically here. We're coming up with names and storylines. You're going to see a bit of the theming start to come together at the end of this episode, but only a little bit, not too much. So yeah, I'll wait until the next one. That's where you're really going to start to see the theming come together. Right then, back to what I'm doing just here. You can see here I've lowered a lot of the land, and we're going to put in a lake all the way around here. I mentioned how this whole park is going to be in the forest. We've got a lot of trees, a lot of rocks and foliage around, and a lot of water too. So I thought, let's go for another lake just here. Obviously, water has been a big feature so far in the park, especially with the big lake down in the entrance to the Vikings area. But now I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I thought, let's add some water around this. And I also think water just adds so much kinetic energy around any theme park ride, to be honest, whether it's a flat ride, a water ride, or a big roller coaster like this. And obviously a water ride's always going to have, you know, the trough or whatever is the ride system. But in terms of lakes and landscaping, see like Poseidon at Europa Park, you know, it's a really nice ride, how that's put together. And obviously that's a Greek theme that they've got going on just there. You already start to get a good gist on how this themed area is going to come together now. The pathway coming round connecting to Vikings. We've got this main hub area just there, the big square. And then you've got the other pathway which meanders round to connect with the other one. As always, I'm listening to all of your feedback. So I've took that on from the last episode. I've been back into the Vikings area. It only took me about 15 minutes. And I've lowered a lot of the fences down. I know a lot of people said from seeing it in first person view, you thought that the fences were a little bit too high. And after having another look, I think some of them, you know, in like critical places were okay. But then others were too high, blocking some of the views. So I've lowered the fencing in Vikings. You'll see that when I open the park, because that's another thing. Basically, once this area is complete, before I start on the water park, I'm going to open the park, and I'll probably close it again, but we'll have an episode just going into the park, the look of it, updated POVs, operations, and kind of show you the running and operation of the park. So we will do that. It's probably going to be in, you know, maybe 3 episodes time, something like that, once this is complete, because I am going to be doing a dark ride in this area as well. I think there's going to be 6 rides in total in this area, and obviously there's another couple of flats that are going to be going in shortly just here too, which you'll see. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more to come with this area. It's not going to be quite as big size-wise as the Vikings area, or at least I don't think so, but it's still going to be, you know, quite a large area, so it's going to take a few episodes to build. So yeah, I've took your feedback on, and that's what I've done with the hedges, and also the like kind of wooden posts that we had, fences around. What the plan is as well is to add another pathway at some point off to the right of the area. Again, that's something else that I always kind of had planned as part of future expansion, but I didn't put it in initially, and that's connecting another pathway off to the right hand side from the entrance. Right then, let's talk about flat rides, because as you know, I think filler flat rides are really important in a theme park. We're going to go for a nice Zamperla disco just here, except it's one of them where, you know, instead of it actually being the disc, it's long ways across just there, like a big rectangle. With the riders sitting opposite each other. This is going to be heavily themed. Obviously, it's on this side of the lake. We're going to do some nice rock work and buildings around it. It's going to be really immersive. We're going to block in a lot of the actual like bottom of the ride system, so it looks like it's kind of just levitating on these rocks and stuff kind of thing. That's the idea. A little bit like, if you remember the indoor park that I did, you know, obviously in Planet Coaster in the original game. I put a lot of theming and rocks around it. We're going to do something similar to that, but obviously it's outside as part of this area. We're going to have some nice Greek buildings around it. And yeah, it's going to be looking nice. Also, it's another family ride, because obviously I like thinking about the areas realistically. And guests are just going to come out of, you know, the Vikings area if you're walking like that way around the park. You know, you're going to see another family ride. As soon as you've gone past the top spin, which obviously is quite thrilling, you've got another family ride just there. And then we've got kind of a mid-tier ride, I would say here. It's like a mix of family thrill, isn't it? A nice magic carpet just here. I thought we'd add one of those in, because why not? I do enjoy a magic carpet. I thought this would look really nice. Inspired a little bit by Parc Asterix. Over in France, because obviously Parc Asterix have got a nice little Greek area where Pegasus Express is, and they've got the magic carpet just there, and it fits in really nice. So I thought that'd be lovely. In terms of what obviously I'm planning to do in the next episode, it's going to be full-on theming. I'm not building any more rides yet. We're going to theme everything up that we've got so far, and then we're going to be working on a big restaurant, another big indoor restaurant in this area. It's going to be on that corner actually, just behind the magic carpet. And then obviously after that is done, I'm going to be working on probably adding the dark ride, which I've got planned for this area. Probably like an Omnimover style dark ride using that new Omnimover system in Planet Coaster 2. And along with that as well, there's going to be another flat ride that we're going to add into the area too, or maybe a couple of flat rides actually. So yeah, we could end up with 6 rides in this area. There's 3 installed now. There could be another 3 rides, maybe even a junior coaster in this area. We'll just see how things come together. When the park opens, I want to have a nice balance of rides, even though there's just 2 areas. So there's something for everyone really. But talking of rides, let's just talk about the name, shall we, that I picked for the top spin in the previous episode. Because there's been so many amazing name suggestions, and honestly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everyone that makes name suggestions. I really do appreciate it. But for the top spin, we're going for Skeldus. I do really like that, so thank you so much. I do apologise, I'm not very good at pronunciations. I think it could be a Dutch channel, but Dankuwilk 9316. There you go. I don't know if I said that right, but thank you so much for your name. Skeldus for the top spin, and I know a lot of you like that as well. A lot of you thumbed up his comment, so yeah, that's a good name. For the Viking restaurant, this comment, it made me laugh in a good way. I thought this was a great name. I know a lot of you enjoyed it too. Thanks to Ride Expedition for this one. We're calling it Viking. Not Viking, Viking, as in V-I-K and then I-N-N. So Viking. I think that's a great name. So thanks so much for that one. I really do appreciate it. We've got some great names so far. And honestly, thanks so much to everyone that's took the time to name the different rides that I've built in the Vikings area. We're going to need them good Greek mythology names for this area. Now, when I start working on an area, you saw this back at the start of the series. I can't believe we're on episode 5. It's gone so fast. But yeah, what I like to do is make an area and just kind of sample the different themes and things. So we've got a bit of an idea. Because obviously at this point, it's my first time ever using this theme and these pieces. There was nothing really similar to this either in original Planet Coaster. So I'm just putting a few bits about, doing a little bit of building work, adding some rocks, and just starting to get a bit of a feel for how I want this area to be. Because obviously, you know, when you're using things for the first time, you're not too sure on if that's going to look good or if that's going to work. So that's literally what I'm doing here. Just putting a few bits about, some fence pieces. Obviously, I've already picked the flooring. Obviously, the Vikings area is quite dark, isn't it? With the theme as well. A lot of wooden buildings. In fact, most buildings are wooden, but you've got like a bit of brickwork. With this, obviously, it's going to be a lot of marble, a lot of actual brickwork, big stonework, big like columns and that sort of thing, like with the Greek theme. We're going to introduce quite a lot of blue into the area. There's going to be lots of planting. We're going to have a lot of flowers in this area, so we're going to have lots of them, especially in this nice little plaza area. There's going to be a lot of fire. Again, there was in the Vikings area, but I think with this, naturally, ancient Greece, you're going to do like, you know, lots of big flame torches and things. The station for the inverted coaster, I want to be this big kind of grand palace, is the idea for it. So yeah, it was just sampling a few bits here, getting a bit of a gist for the colours and the themes. And for anybody that is struggling with theming in the game, I'd recommend just doing this, like having a bit of a sample and thinking, oh, this works, and you know, trying different things to see how it looks. And yeah, you know, I was quite happy with this. Like, for example, just doing these little borders around, just getting a bit of a gist for the overall look of how this area is going to come together. Again, for some nice big Greek statues down here, because I thought, why not? You see that a lot, don't you? Like whether it's like ancient Rome or ancient Greece, you know, these big statues. So that we go with something similar. Maybe Figment just here could go on there. But yeah, we're just adding them into place. You've seen we've got the big pools for fountains there. Of course, there's going to be a nice fountain package in each one of them. And this whole area will just be a place to chill. There's not going to be any rides or anything here. It's purely designed so you can stand there or sit and relax and eat, drink and watch the coaster roaring round next to you. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of buildings and a lot of scenery going around all of this. But also, we want to not block in the view of the inverted coaster too much, because obviously that's the whole idea with how this has been designed, so we can you know, enjoy the views looking out at the invert. If we kind of blocked this whole plaza in with buildings and made it like a courtyard, that defeats the whole object of what I've done. So and also I'm making sure in this area that the fences are a lot lower, or like these ones what I'm using now, where they're see-through, because yeah, some of them fences were way too high in the Vikings area. You know, it was my first time using that theme, you know, so practice makes perfect. Something that I am quite experienced with though is #rockwork. So this time we moved on to the Mediterranean style rocks. Obviously they've got this nice kind of cream colour. We're adding these round. There's going to be quite a lot of rocks. I think rocks just really make the area, to be honest. We're going to do this nice bridge. You can see how it goes over the water, and that'll be in the next episode. We're going to work on this bridge and start to theme that up and put little bits in all around that. And there's going to be a lot of like pottery and flower beds and all like little pretty things to make this look really nice. Obviously we've got this big element which comes out underneath the pathway. That's like going to be a great spot to have like some fire nearby and some other like special effects and things, some big flame torches. I've noticed from having a look in the mythology theme already in the game that they've got like some big, you know, if you've ever been to Epcot or Walt Disney World, they've got like the big flame torches that used to be for illuminations, reflections of Earth. I mean, they're for the new show now, Luminous, but these big flame torches, I think we're going to go for something similar like that in some of the parts of this area, and just bring it all together nicely. Well, yeah, into the final part of the episode, and yeah, just give you a bit of a gist on what we're doing theming wise. I want this to kind of look like it's breaking out of the ground, and originally it was just going to kind of go under the pathway and then come back over, but I think it's actually made it a lot more special now and looks even more impressive and a bit more mysterious actually. The fact that it dips down under the path, comes out and then dips back under again. That wasn't the original intention. It just shows how your ideas change, doesn't it, when you're creating things in Planet Coaster or any theme park game really. But no, really enjoying it. Obviously we've got the big update coming as well this week for Planet Coaster. There's going to be some new stuff, fireworks are coming back, some new bits coming in, so yeah, that's exciting. Obviously I'll talk more about that once I'm back from the trip. Like I say, the next episode looks like this one's been pre-recorded, you know, before we go out. Normally with these, I film them and then they go out really the next day. But obviously with us going away, I wanted to pre-record a couple. So I've been playing a lot of Planet Coaster 2 over the past few days, just to get this all ready for you all. And I'm just glad that you're all enjoying the series. You know, I love it. It's just a nice, relaxing series. I love playing the game. I love having some music on as I play, and then sharing it all with you as well. But what we're going to do when we open the park, instead of doing it as a sped up thing like this, I'll actually walk you through the park. We'll ride the rides and just have a good look at it all. And that'll be in a few episodes' time before we start working on the Primrose Forest water park. How exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. Or Primrose Lagoon, I've been thinking about of the name for that one. But honestly, thanks so much for your support. As always, I really appreciate it. If you give the video a big thumbs up, it really helps out the channel and gives me even more motivation with these because it takes a long time. Like out of all the videos we do, these take the longest to do. But I'm glad that you enjoy it. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy all of our updates. Vlogs on the way from Europa Park and Disneyland Paris this week. And I'll be back next week, of course, with episode 6 as we carry on with Primrose Forest. Thanks so much, as always, for your support. I really do appreciate it. And get out there and keep on riding. Merry Christmas. See you later, everyone.